Welcome, everyone. Good morning to those who are joining us online via Zoom and to all of us gathered here in the sanctuary on Rugby Road. As we come together for worship, we begin with a musical prelude offered by Scott DeVoe. Greetings and welcome to the UU Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Mary Beth Wiley and I'm delighted that you are joining us here in the sanctuary and on Zoom. This sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on land that was the homeland of the Monacan people and that was once cared for by enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering as a community of memory and hope. I invite you now to take a moment to greet others who are with us in worship this morning. Those of you on Zoom can unmute and say hello to one another, and those of you here in the sanctuary are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
Everybody.
Nice to see people. Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I was thinking that when the service is over, it would be nice if more people stayed on Zoom to, kind of have a social hour on Zoom.
Good idea.
I think it's a great idea, Estelle. I actually am going to be running out today, but hopefully in the future we can do that. Or I could do that.
Yeah, I'm going to stay for about a half hour, so that'll work.
I can stay for a few minutes. Oh, I can stay for a few minutes, not too long.
Very good.
I leave a little early to go to my second church service of the day in person.
It is good
Here
to
in
be
St. Paul,
together.
Minnesota.
We welcome those who are new to our congregation and invite you to join us for fellowship in the social hall after the service. Feel free to use one of our red coffee mugs, which are for newcomers to our congregation. We continue to ask that everyone in the sanctuary and throughout the building keep your high quality N95 or KN95 mask in place, covering both your nose and mouth. If you don't have a face mask with you, we have extras available. When you're in the social hall, you may remove your mask while actively eating or drinking. We ask those not actively eating or drinking to please keep your masks on. We see the continued wearing of face masks while indoors as an act of kindness that keeps everyone, especially those most at risk, as safe as possible while we continue to navigate life during the ongoing pandemic and the flu season. Hand sanitizer is provided in the pews, which we invite you to use as needed. In addition to our seating in the sanctuary, there's seating in the social hall where you can watch a live stream of the service. Families with young children are most welcome in the sanctuary, but if you need a roomier space, the social hall can be a good option. Please do whatever you need to feel as comfortable as we worship together. Many thanks to all the folks helping us share worship both here and online, our on-site greeters, ushers, and hospitality and logistics team. And special thanks to our AV Tech team of Rachel Buckland and Sean Scally, supporting the dual platform worship both online and here on Rugby Road. Our thanks to our Director of Music, Scott DeVoe, for sharing his musical gifts. And I'm pleased to be weaving this morning's worship with Reverend Tim. Now here to greet you from your Board of Trustees is Bev Ryan.
Thank you. Got to get my glasses on to be able to read this. Mary Beth has bigger print on hers. Maybe I should do that. Good morning. I am the Vice President of the Board and am here to welcome you. Today I'd like to give you just a little bit of an overview as to what the Board's been doing. We've really been busy working on our 4 developmental goals. And this coming week, hopefully, we will be appointing a task force to develop a new mission statement. And that will involve congregation input, so stay tuned. Our 3rd developmental goal is to strengthen our stewardship ministry. And to that effect, we'll be appointing a stewardship steering committee. And look for information in the bulletin, the Friday bulletins, for updates, and get in touch with the board member if you have any interest in any of these projects. Then the task force of, I don't want to forget anybody, Steve Brecker, Breck Gastinger, Elizabeth Breeden, and Liberty Powers have been working on redesigning the sign on the wall out at the Rugby Road entrance. At the next meeting, the board's going to choose a design. The designs are on a poster out in the social hall. Take a look at them after church, see if there's one you really like more than the other, and we'll be there to hear feedback. The board will be voting on that on Wednesday. Which brings us to the next board meeting. Is this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. It's on Zoom. The Zoom link is on the website. Check it out and join us. And anybody is welcome to join our board meetings. And I will be in the social hall after the service if anybody wants to just chat or has questions. And then my last statement is, after church today, I am headed to the UVA women's basketball game. Go Who's! The team is now 9-0 and has not been at that point since the 91-92 year. Go Who's!
Thank you, Bev. I'll be there also. I have several important announcements. For the last few weeks, we have been working closely with community partners, Pacham and Ebenezer Baptist Church, to provide shelter, food, and cleaning supplies to families. I'd like to invite Elizabeth Breeden and Pastor Lehman Bates from Ebenezer Baptist to come forward to share a few words with us.
Good morning. Before I start on that, it's a new art show around you. It's a community art show, meaning members of our church painted it, and it'll be up for the month of December, and its title is Season of Light. We just finished hosting Pacham on Friday night and cleaned up. Over 60 of our members participated in Pacham. 19 years ago when we started this, Leslie Takahashi said to us, It will not be owned by the church unless you turn it into small jobs where everyone participates. Certainly that we have almost a third of our members participating in this outreach says a lot for our congregation and ourselves. Thanks to all of you who came to serve, who made food, who helped clean up, and who helped set up. The second thing we did over Thanksgiving was partner with Ebenezer Baptist Church in their outreach to give away turkeys and Thanksgiving meals, as well as cleaning supplies to 350 families in Albemarle County and Charlottesville. We decided, since Don Landis was the point person at Stone Robinson, that we would do 25 families. So several of you contributed cleaning supplies, and then I gave Michael Manteau permission to go use our money, food pantry money, to buy $500 worth of cleaning supplies. We gave Pastor Bates $500 for his turkeys, which didn't nearly cover it. Don't worry, all we did was pull our weight. We also gave Ebenezer $495 that people contributed directly. So now he gets to say thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today, as I find myself doing every year. I don't want to send a letter. I hope that my presence speaks for the gratitude and thankfulness that I have for you, the Unitarian Universalist congregation. As you know, we have been partnering now for the last 16 years, and we trust and hope that what we have done has made an impact in someone's life. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity during your worship service today to say thank you. Not only did we provide 350 families with cleaning supplies, we also provided another 350 families with turkeys and dressing and food. And what was unusual about this year is a lot of that food was sourced from area black farms. Amen. We were able to partner. We actually have 4 area black farms within a 30-minute drive of this area. And so we were able to coordinate that and facilitate that. And so we are uniquely proud of that. And again, we could not have done this without you and the 19 other organizations that assisted us and supported us. So thank you again. And I find myself, and hopefully you feel the same way, that in times such as these, there are 3 things that you must realize. Number 1, you ought to be grateful, you ought to be thankful, and you ought to be blessed. God bless you.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Pastor Bates. Artists from our own congregation are selling their wares after the service on Sundays before Christmas. Please stop by the tables in the social hall. If you are interested in having a table, please email art@uucharlottesville.org. Also, immediately following worship this morning, we'll be setting up and decorating the congregation's Christmas tree here in the sanctuary. All are invited to stay and help decorate. Many hands are needed, so please join in. Are you new to the UU congregation of Charlottesville? If you are, please join us for 30 minutes of relaxed conversation with Reverend Tim and several lay leaders. We will gather this morning immediately following the service in Summit House, the yellow building behind the social hall, on the first floor immediately to your right, room 2. Please join us there at 12:15. The Board of Trustees has appointed a task force to develop options to update the congregation's sign. That's what Bev was talking about. Breck Gastinger will have several mock-ups at a table in the social hall. Stop by and take a look. And now let us center ourselves for worship.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yep. Looks like I'm on. That's good. Boy, there's a lot going on at this place, huh? My goodness. And it sure is good to see so many of you here in person, and welcome to those of you who are on Zoom. It is really, really good to see you all. So I want to begin this morning with some of my favorite opening words from Carl Seberg. Let there be joy in our coming together. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak, in the stories we share, and in the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our sorrow and our brokenness. And let there be silence for the voice within and beyond us. On this beautiful Sunday morning, let there truly be joy in our coming together. I'd now like to invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let's join in singing Morning Has Broken. It's number 38 in the gray hymnal, but the words will also be on the screen. Please rise.
Now invite Ruth Douglas to light our chalice. Rachel, can you put the words of the unison chalice lighting up, please? We gather this hour of people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open minds. This is the church of helping hands. This is the church of loving hearts.
Sure, my microphone's on there. There I am. To invite our children to come down and join me down here on the red carpet. Have a seat. It's good to see you all this morning. Welcome. I see some of you that I see on many Sunday mornings, and others I think might be here for the first time. So if you are here for the first time, welcome. It's really nice to meet you all. So what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit this morning was our wreath up here with the 4 candles. This is called an Advent wreath. Any of you all ever seen an Advent wreath before? You think so? Okay, good. Well, Advent is a time of year where many people who follow the Christian tradition spend time thinking about waiting for the celebration of the life of baby Jesus, which happens on what day? Christmas, that's right. And what many people who celebrate Advent are thinking about are all the wonderful gifts and blessings that Jesus shared with the world. And each of these candles represents one of 4 of those blessings. So last Sunday, we lit this purple candle, which is the candle for hope. The candle next to it, which we're also going to light today, is a candle for joy. The third purple candle is a candle for love. And then on the Sunday before Christmas, we'll light the pink candle, which is a candle for peace. And hope, joy, love, and peace were 4 things that Jesus of Nazareth taught about and spoke about, and it embodied everything in his life. Yes?
Love and peace were the 2 things that the angels sung to the shepherds and the good and the wealthy man.
Yes.
Bring them to Jesus.
Absolutely. So you were saying that love and peace were things that the angels sung about to the shepherds, and that the wealthy man who came to Jesus talked about as well. That's really great. Yes. So, yes, go ahead, Everett. Where did the angel come from? Okay. You have an answer, Piper. Go ahead. God sent the angels to tell Mary that she was going to have a baby. I like that answer. Absolutely. Yes, go ahead.
Maybe just somebody died and then became an angel.
Or maybe somebody died and became an angel. That could be too. Absolutely. Any other thoughts about that? Yes, go ahead.
The heavens actually brought him down, and there's these special bells that my family has, that when you ring a bell, the angels get wings, and they went down and they were made in the Christian.
Okay.
And my grandma is.
Okay.
Family's probably Christian,
So the angels came down from the heavens, and when you ring bells, that helps angels get their wings.
It's a special kind of them.
A special kind of them. Nice, nice. Great. Well, I wasn't expecting the conversation to become about angels today, but that's always wonderful. It's very Unitarian Universalist, where we just start asking questions and giving answers, and I love it. You guys are so thoughtful, and you ask such wonderful questions, and you give good answers. And I think all of your answers are wonderful. All of your answers are wonderful. So, before you guys head off to your classes, I'm going to invite Reverend Leah to bring the flame forward, and maybe invite 1 or 2 of you to help light our 2 candles today that we're going to light. Wonderful. So first we're going to light the candle that we lit last Sunday, which is the candle of hope. Beautiful. And then next we will light, when we get another volunteer, come on up. Next, we'll light a new candle this Sunday for the candle of joy. Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of you, and thank you, Reverend Leah, for the assist. So, I'm now going to invite you all to head off to your classes, and can we sing our children out as we leave this friendly place? love it so much when I can come into this sanctuary on a Sunday morning and say, you know, I learned a lot from the children today. I did, absolutely. So I'd now like to invite us into a time of prayer, meditation, and centering. And I want to share some beautiful words by my colleague, Reverend Erica Hewitt. Mystery of mysteries, we are thirsty for justice, and we are bearing witness to grief. We are claiming our inherent wholeness and healing strands of the great web. We are hungry for liberation and cracking ourselves wide open. We are mourning the dead and fighting for the living. We are singing for joy and striving for meaning. We're embodying love, reaching out in love, acting on love's behalf, and letting that love wash over us, ebbing and flowing as it carries and holds us all. May we do it all over again when the new day comes. Now I'd like to invite us into a few brief moments of shared silence. Amen. Friends, we are part of an interdependent web and a community that cares for one another. Part of how we embody this care is by making time to share the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts. And we hold, as always, all the joys and sorrows that have been spoken today and that remain unspoken but deep in our hearts.
This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show our care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our monthly social action collection is being taken for the Birth Sisters of Charlottesville, a community-based doula collective. And here today we have Doreen from Birth Sisters.
Thank you all for inviting me here and supporting the mission of Birth Sisters of Charlottesville. I want to thank you for the generous donation that we received from this congregation last year. And I also want to share a little bit how your money was used and a little bit how the money is going to be used just by looking at this picture up here. Birth Sisters of Charlottesville is a doula collective supporting women of color through their birth journey. And the disparities, in Virginia, Black women are twice as likely to experience maternal mortality than white women in this community. And the statistics are pretty similar for infant mortality as well, which is why we exist. And so our mission is really to address those disparities and get to the root causes of those disparities. So I want to just share with you, just looking at this picture was taken just past Thursday in our new location. We now have a physical location. We've been working without a physical location for over almost 3 years now. And so this new location is on Preston Avenue. And what you see here is two of our doulas. One is a senior doula and the other is a doula in training, providing support to one of our clients, the mom, the lady in pink, obviously, and They are providing education and support for her pregnancy. Which you don't see is her mother is sitting on a couch right behind her, but you don't see her. And so this is what we are trying to cultivate with the collective. We want women to experience a beautiful birth, a happy birth, a safe birth, and an educated birth. And so this is just, and then we're overjoyed to have our new location. What you see, the furniture in here is almost only what we have right now. And so a good bit of the funds will be used to help furnish and to equip our location. Some of your training, some of your funds were dedicated to training the doulas. We had a doula training this past year. We intend to have another one this year. We also, you see some of the equipment, the bouncy balls and the things, so there's things that are being purchased for that as well. So one of the things I share with you about the disparities, since 2020, when we incorporated, we've served over 100 families of color through their birth journeys. And we have had no maternal mortalities. We've had no infant mortalities. We had, out of all those women that we served, we had only 2 that were preterm births, and which is pretty significant, and only 2 that were had low birth rate, which is an indication of the future health of the child. So what we're doing is working, and so we just really appreciate the support that you continue to give to us. So I don't know if anybody had any questions. I know I had only about 5 minutes, so I don't want to say a whole lot. We do a lot of advocacy in the community. We work with UVA and Centera with the OB staff there. We have a pilot program with UVA medical students where they will walk along with us for with some of our clients to support birth, and because we want to grow medical professionals who are more compassionate when they're working with women of color through their birth journey. And I mentioned that we just have a new physical location, which we moved in October of this year. And then we also have something that's called listeningtotheliving.org, which is an kind of an initiative that we work with the Blue Ridge Health District and the state Title V director. And it's all about educating and bringing more understanding about how racism has been impacting maternal health within our local community. And so if you go to that site, you'll see a lot of information about that program as well. So we thank you so much for the support that you continue to provide us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Each week we invite everyone into the spiritual practice of generosity by giving to the ministry of our congregation. Through your pledges and with the weekly Sunday morning offering together, we build the future of our congregation and our larger community. This is our shared ministry. During the music which follows, you may choose to make your Sunday morning offering by using the text address or going to our website. During the music which follows, you may choose to make your Sunday morning offering by using the text. Sorry. Here in the sanctuary, you may bring cash or checks forward. During this musical prayer, you are invited to share not only financial gifts, but you are also invited to share the joys and sorrows in your hearts. Those on Zoom may put them in the chat box, and those of you in the sanctuary may come forward to place a stone in the water. The stone symbolizes what is in your heart, and the water represents the soothing embrace our caring community offers for your joys and sorrows. You may leave us a note on the joy and sorrow paper provided here. Let us hold one another in a compassionate embrace, and let us dedicate all the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely and for the highest good." The reading today is called What is Radical Amazement by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. To experience radical amazement is to realize that life takes place under wide horizons that range beyond the span of an individual life or even the life of a nation, a generation, or an era. Radical amazement enables us to perceive in the world intimations of the divine, to sense in small things the beginning of infinite significance, to sense the ultimate in the common and the simple, to feel in the rush of passing circumstance the stillness of the eternal. So our goal should always be to live life in radical amazement, to get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed.
Every time I read or hear Rabbi Heschel's words, use them as a reading, I always close my eyes and then I have to go, oh, am I supposed to say something now? Because I don't think anybody can say it much better than that. So it's great to be with you all today, both in the sanctuary and on Zoom. I look forward to hope to see some of you at the Newcomer Circle, which will be in Summit House at 12:15. And I hope you will stay for all the wonderful arts and crafts vendors and pitch in with the tree decorating here in the sanctuary. So there's always much going on at the UU congregation of Charlottesville. And let me just say that it is such a joy and a privilege and something that fills me with radical amazement when I stand in this pulpit on Sunday mornings. I know that some of you are undoubtedly filled with joy and hope, while others may be coming with hearts that are heavy or perhaps even broken. I also know that many who journey into Unitarian Universalism do so after years of spiritual searching and perhaps even struggling. And I know that all of you lead very busy lives and that finding time to be part of Sunday morning service can be challenging. So I just want to begin this morning by saying thank you for being here and for inviting the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Charlottesville into your lives. We are so blessed to share this journey with all of you. Now, I first encountered this term radical amazement when I read some of Rabbi Heschel's writings, and you heard a brief excerpt from some of those writings from Mary Beth. Heschel was a rabbi and a theologian, and his ideas remain important and influential, even though he died now about 40 years ago. He wrote timeless works about the prophets of the Hebrew Bible, the importance of Sabbath and rest, and about the nature of God and spiritual life. And he also counted among his many friends Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rabbi Heschel. There's a famous picture of him walking with Dr. King arm in arm across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. But if I had to choose one idea, one concept from Heschel's vast and extraordinary body of work that speaks to my own spiritual life and journey, it would have to be radical amazement. For one thing, I just love that term. I mean, it somehow captures the essence and the feel of those rare but extraordinary spiritual moments I think that we all experience. Moments I know in which I have found myself deeply aware and deeply connected to the mystery and the majesty of life itself. Some of those moments occurred in places of awe-inspiring beauty, while others take place, as Heschel says, in the common and small things that reveal what he calls the infinite significance of existence. And I must say that Heschel's definition of what it means to be spiritual is my absolute favorite. To be spiritual is to be amazed. Now, I'll have more to say about spirituality in a few minutes, but let me simply echo Heschel's view that being spiritual enables one to see that everything is indeed phenomenal. Everything is incredible, and everything does indeed offer us intimations of the divine. Now, I know it's always risky to make assumptions, especially about Unitarian Universalists, but I'm guessing that everyone in this sanctuary and everyone joining us on Zoom has experienced the kind of moments Heschel is describing. Even if you consider yourself to be an atheist, an agnostic, a humanist, or just a good old-fashioned skeptic, the experience of awe and wonder, I think that experience is universal and part of what it means to be human. Now, Heschel was a theist. He had a very strong belief in God, and he uses the language of God and divinity to describe radical amazement. But I think even Heschel would agree that ultimately, radical amazement is an experience of awe and wonder, of infinite significance, not a creed or a theology. Belief or theology may follow those experiences and could provide us with, as we try to make meaning of them. But in many ways, I think radical amazement comes first, theology and belief come after. Now, one of the great privileges of being a minister is having the opportunity to listen to many of your spiritual stories, and I look forward to hearing many, many more in the future. And almost all of those stories include experiences of awe and wonder. That's what I've observed from so many of the Unitarian Universalists that I've had a chance to talk with about their journeys, where they are on their journeys, what's their background, how did they get to where they are today. Those powerful experiences are so often part of those stories. And my own spiritual journey is no exception, and I've certainly been blessed with experiences in many, many beautiful places. But today, you know I like to tell stories. I'm going to tell you a story about one of those places, one of those experiences. It happened many years ago, I don't even want to tell you how many, when I was a college student spending a semester in England. I lived in an apartment with a couple of roommates in London. I guess I should say a flat, sorry. And one weekend, one of my flatmates and I decided to leave the big city, catch a train to a part of England called Cornwall. Any of you ever been there before? A few of you? Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's located in the very southwestern sort of edge tip of the country. It's an area rich in history, culture, and a lot of beauty. Now, on our first full day, we took a bus out to the southernmost tip of Cornwall to a place very aptly known as Land's End. Land's End is located at what I think is supposed to be the most westerly point in the country of England, and is perhaps best known for steep, rocky cliffs that overlook kind of the place where the ocean and the English Channel kind of meet. After the bus dropped us off, we climbed one of those cliffs and soon found ourselves enjoying one of the most spectacular views I have ever seen. That's what it looked like. The water was deep blue, the air smelled crisp and clear, the sun was bright, and although it was early March, the temperature was surprisingly warm. So warm, in fact, that my buddy and I took our jackets off. We were there in our shirt sleeves. And as I stood there, I remember looking out over that water and feeling as if I could see forever. And as we stood atop that cliff, marveling at that beauty all around us, we noticed as we looked out over the water, out in the distance, there was what looked like a storm cloud heading in our direction. It was kind of small. It wasn't like the whole sky turned stormy. It was just this one little cloud. And it was surrounded by blue skies and white puffy clouds. Now, having grown up in Central Florida, which is known for having loud thunderstorms and vivid lightning, I've always been kind of cautious about approaching storms. But there was something different about this moment and this storm, something that led me not to seek shelter, but to stay on the cliff and welcome the approaching storm. And I am so glad I stayed, because in a matter of a few minutes, my friend and I were completely engulfed in the most amazingly beautiful snow squall that I have ever experienced. The sky darkened, the temperature dropped considerably, and snow swirled all around us. Soon it covered the ground and the landscape went from spring to winter. It wasn't maybe not quite that much snow, but it was covered. And then, as suddenly as the squall appeared, it was gone. The sun returned, the temperature rose, and I once again found myself in the middle of a warm, sunny day, and pretty soon that snow cover was gone. And as I stood atop that cliff with the snow swirling in one moment and then the warm sun and blue skies returning the next, all I can say is that for that brief moment, I was truly standing on sacred ground and experiencing radical amazement. In that moment, in that place, I felt so small as I was being engulfed by that snow squall and then bathed in the sunshine and blue sky. I was part of something greater, part of a universe of incomparable beauty, immense power, and great, great mystery. For the briefest time, I experienced my life not as a kind of linear, straight line that sort of follows the contours of my life and journey, but rather as just an infinite and awe-inspiring circle, I don't even have the right words, in which I am unique but interrelated, free and yet deeply connected to all that surrounds me. On that beautiful coastline, in the midst of that incredible snow squall, I was indeed overwhelmed by radical amazement and experienced a truth and a reality so beautiful, so powerful, and so mysterious that I've come to call it God, the divine. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that my use of God language to describe what happened to me on that cliff implies that I fully understand my experience, that I figured out the meaning of existence. Looking back on that moment and others that I've had since then, the phrase that best describes where I am today around ultimate questions is awe-inspiring mystery. But there is one thing I can say for certain about all my experiences of that awe-inspiring mystery. From the moment I was enveloped in that snow squall right up to the present, those moments of awe, beauty, and mystery have most certainly been deeply, deeply spiritual. Now, as I said before, terms like spiritual and spirituality can be very confusing, and they can be rather misunderstood. They are used in so many different contexts and so many different ways. Think for a moment about the very common use of the word spiritual by those who don't really like organized religion, as in I'm spiritual but not religious. Then there are some who reject any use of the word spiritual or spirituality because they equate them with belief, suggesting that being spiritual means I have a creed, I have a firm belief in God, I've got it all figured out. Well, I have a very different understanding of what it means to be spiritual. You see, when I reflect back on those moments of deep connection in my own life, it is clear to me that what mattered most was not what I believed in that moment, but what I was experiencing. When I stood on that cliff in that snow squall, I didn't have the first clue what I believed about God, and at that time in my journey, or religion, or much of anything else for that matter. I was a college kid. And that was okay, although I know a lot of college kids that are way more got it together than I had it back together then, that's for sure. But you know what? That was okay, because that moment was about experience and connection, not doctrine or dogma. For me, spirituality is all about experiencing deep connection to something, to mystery. Maybe it's God, maybe it's the yearnings of the human heart, maybe it's the mystery and majesty of life, but something that leads us to a place of peace, awe, and for me, an overwhelming sense of oneness and unity with existence. Now, I think in trying to understand what it means to be spiritual, I always like to remind us about the origins of the word spirit. It's derived from an ancient Hebrew word, ruah, which literally means breath or wind. In the Hebrew Bible, ruah, or spirit, is the breath or essence of life. It is the life force, the energy, the rhythm, the pulse of creation. Ruah is the wind or the breeze from God in the book of Genesis at the very beginning that stirs the primordial waters on creation morning. And it is that same wind, that same breath that fills our lives and caresses our cheeks in those moments of awe and wonder. So, looking at the etymology of the word, to be spiritual is to breathe in, to be one with that essence. It is to slow down, to be present, and to inhale the breath of life. In fact, the original meaning of the word inspiration is to breathe in the essence or spirit of life. And if being spiritual is about experience before belief, spirituality is everything that enables one to experience radical amazement, to be inspired and to breathe in that essence. Being spiritual, I think, first and foremost is about being open, being curious, being open to those moments of deep connection, and even cultivating them. I must say that when someone, and I've had a few people do this in my time as a UU minister, tells me that, well, they're not spiritual, they don't do that whole spirituality thing because they're an atheist, they're a skeptic. I think being an atheist and a skeptic are great, but I don't understand what they had to do with spirituality. Because spirituality is about experience. It's about that deep connection. It's not about what conclusions you draw from that deep connection, or if you draw any conclusions at all. And at the same time, spiritual growth doesn't have anything to do with moving toward a particular belief or doctrine. It can, but rather, to me, as I said before, it's about cultivating that greater openness to and deeper awareness of the beauty, blessings, and mysteries of life. And let me just finish up with a word about the relationship between spirituality and that other thing, religion. Think for a moment about the way religion is typically understood. Religion, right, equals faith, belief in creeds and doctrines and the literal truth of sacred texts. But I think when one goes a little deeper, it turns out that while religion can be understood in this way, it doesn't have to be. Now, take, for example, and I like looking up the origins of words. Take, for example, the root of the word religion. It's a Latin word, religare, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which means to bind, connect, or join. Religare has the same root word that the word ligament does, right? Ligaments tie or connect bones together. So much like a ligament binds bones together, religion is something that binds or connects human beings. Now, that something could be a belief or a doctrine about God or the supernatural, but I think as we Unitarian Universalists have discovered, religion doesn't have to be rooted in a single belief or one conception of ultimate reality. Human beings can be connected to many different things in many different ways. We can be connected by ethical values and principles, love, freedom, justice, and compassion, while also being open to diverse understandings of the mystery and meaning of existence. And it is this understanding of religion that is at the heart of Unitarian Universalism and that I can tell you has enriched and transformed my spiritual life. I have come to see that far from simply being about having faith or believing in a particular creed, religion can be about making a shared journey rooted in unconditional love and the search for truth and meaning. Religion can be as much, if not more, about asking questions and exploring the mysteries of life as it is about having all the answers. And religion can be about listening and learning and being open to the truth and wisdom found not just on a cliff engulfed in a snow squall overlooking the English Channel, but in the stories and experiences of everyone, of each and every one of you. Friends, how you choose to experience deep connection and to cultivate radical amazement is ultimately up to you. Unitarian Universalism doesn't insist that you follow one method or one practice or any method or any practice at all. But we do seek and we do hope that you will choose to live your life with intention, with purpose, and with openness to the beauty, the mystery, and the possibilities of life. For if we are open to those moments of deep connection, the breath of life will be like a gentle breeze, bringing us peace, hope, and love. Blessed be. Thank you so very much for listening, and amen. So let's rise now in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn. It's number 1008 in the teal hymnal. The words will also be on the screen, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please rise. Friends, I want to leave you with some brief words from Marielle Cleary. May the peace of flowing water be with us. May the beauty of starry skies be with us. May the warmth of companionship be with us. And may the miracle of this world bless us this day and every day. Friends, be well. Take very good care of yourselves, of each other, and of the world. May your days be filled with love and joy, peace and hope, and may you experience those moments of radical amazement this day and every day. Blessed be, and go in peace.